Hey, what's going on? Ryan here, setthepacetriathlon.com. We are doing a quick little tip on lubrication and friction, how to overcome this on race day specifically. In training, it can be a problem too. You should experience this as you up your distance, especially on the bikes and the runs. As you do brick runs after rides and you're a little bit sweaty, things start to rub in the wrong places, and over time you can create blisters, calluses, all kinds of fun stuff that is not very comfortable. And I've learned this several times doing half Ironmans and full Ironman races. If you do not do proper maintenance of high friction areas during a race, you take that shower after the race, it can be very uncomfortable and very painful. So doing this as a public service announcement of make sure you take care of the sensitive parts and pieces. So with that, there's many different things you need to lubricate for. For the swim, if you're using a wetsuit, you need to really lubricate around the neck. If you got sleeveless, around the sleeves. Because if you do 1.2, 2.4 miles, and you start rubbing in the wrong places, it's going to be bad news. I did that in Ironman Boulder 2015. Really noticed it when I started off on the run course, and they slather you with sunscreen, and it was all over my neck, and that stung for about 6 miles. And then you sweat in there mixed with more sunscreen. Just not comfortable, especially during the race. So Tri-Slide is what I use. It's a nice spray. I kind of keep this on order. This is on my Amazon recurring subscriptions because I use a lot on race day. The more the merrier, because by the time you get out of the swim, it's basically kind of washed off. But you know, you want to keep it in there as long as possible. So I really recommend this, especially for the wetsuit and the sensitive areas. The other parts are fairly obvious. The seat parts for the guys and the gals, you got to be careful when you're out there. There's different products that I'd recommend. There's like Utterly Smooth. There's butt paste. You could use that. It's meant for babies. But I use that. I also have Doc Skincare. So before race, I really load up. I always use Aquaphor too. This is nice because it's a little water resistant, so it stays there a little bit longer, especially over the swim. But I'll load up before a race. Generally, when I'm going to the half Ironman distance, usually I can load up before the race, and that lasts me for the entire race. It's not too big of a problem. For full Ironman races, I put this in my transition bags. I put a little extra thing in my special needs bag. So if I don't need it, I'm not really bent out of shape if I lose it or it gets trashed. But it's nice to have when you're 13.1 miles into the run or so, and you've got some hot spots flaring up, and there is nothing to be found anywhere on the course. Sometimes they have stuff on the course on like popsicle sticks you can grab at the aid stations. Sometimes they don't. So you need to bring your own lubrication. So I load up before the race, and when I'm doing a full Ironman, I load up in T1 and T2 because the more lubrication, the merrier. You can never necessarily have enough. Even when it's embarrassingly seeping out of the front, you know, this is white. So if this starts seeping out of the front of your black tri-suit or tri-shorts, it can be a little bit embarrassing, but at the end of the day, you're going to be more comfortable when you take that shower after the race and after you've been doing the race for a while. So that's why I load up on, especially for the bike and the run. Also to mention, you need to, if you've got a tri-top that's sleeveless, you're going to have a rub spot between your arm and that seam, because as you're running along, especially when you get in the half Ironman distance, full Ironman distance. So make sure that maybe you have another one of these things in for the T2 bag. So before you start the run, or just in your transition bag, you know, you just spray on the bottom of your arm and get that lubricated up, and just pay attention to that. That could be a hot spot as well. Other thing that I'd warn people about is when you're out there in the sun, you can get sunscreen, but they're not going to have chapstick for you. So the lips can be a problem too. As you get through and you're doing aid stations, you're drinking water, if it's hot, if you're sweating a lot and whatever, if you don't take care of your lips, you're going to pay for that after the race. This may not be a problem during the race. You may not notice it, but after a race, especially if it's sunny, if it's warm, if you got sunburnt, you know, or if you took care of sunscreen, you're not sunburnt, but you didn't do anything with your lips, I've paid for that before. You got the next few days, you're kind of suffering a little bit. So this will save you a little bit. You know, it's not quite a necessity, but a lot of people don't even think about it. So I've got one in my transition bag. I got one of my special needs. You know, I try to stick one of my transition bags in the little baggie so I can find it. So I've got this stuff kind of lined up. You know, this is before the race because this is kind of a big container, kind of messy, kind of awkward to deal with. This stuff It's the kind of things that I put in my transition bags. I'd put in my T1 bag, my T2 bag, maybe something in my special needs bag on the run, just so I have it. Because I'll tell you this, when I did Chattanooga in 2019, it was about 100 degrees out there. So the way I kept cool was I put ice in a sock. They gave me one at the first aid station, which was brilliant. So basically it was a sock that they tied and put ice in. So I put that around my neck, and it would drain, and it would basically melt by the time I got to the next aid station. So every aid station, I filled that thing up. So that way I kept cool, and I was able to kind of plod through the race course on the run and didn't overheat necessarily. But the one problem it did present was I was wet. From head to toe, I was soaked the entire day. So that will cause problems in the special spots there in the, the seat area, and that also causes problems with your socks and your shoes. So before races, sometimes I'll stick this in my shoes. Well, actually, most of the time, I might put a little bit of extra in my socks in my transition, because I don't, I go with socks. I don't go sockless. So a little bit of this, especially for Olympic distances at 70.3, this will last me through the entire race. I'll put some more in my T2 bag because I do a full change of socks and everything for full Ironman races. So I'll leave this in there, and I'll slather some more in my socks to go for the run. So Chattanooga 2019, had I not put this in my socks in T2, especially I was basically dousing myself with water every bit of that race for 26.2 miles. It could have been nasty. I got done with the race. My feet were a little bit waterlogged and a little bit wet and soaked. But by the time I got them dried off and kind of took a break for a little bit, 2 or 3 hours later, my feet really weren't that worse for wear. I didn't have blisters. I didn't have to mess with it. I didn't have to worry about it. It was kind of nice. So this is the kind of stuff that will save you from a lot of uncomfortable moments, especially during the race. And when you get into the race, when you're done, you're packing all your stuff up, the last thing you want to be doing is hobbling around with huge old blisters in your shoes, rashes underneath your armpits from your tri-suits, rashes on your neck from the wetsuit, rashes in special sensitive areas whenever you're taking a shower. You don't want to have to deal with that. So this is important stuff. So I highly recommend, like I said, I've got Doc Skincare. I'm not partners with any of these people. I got Body Glide, Utterly Smooth. It's nice. It comes in a little packet, so you could put in your transition bags or special needs bags, just chapstick, Blistex. I like Aquaphor because it is kind of water resistant, so it's a little extra greasy, so you can put it in there and last a little bit longer. It doesn't wash off as easily. And then Tri-Slide, this is stuff, I do recommend this stuff highly, especially for the wetsuit areas before you start the race. And then maybe if you're doing a long course or something like that, you have a short sleeve tri-top that you could spray it in there underneath your arms, because I've gotten the little rashes underneath from hitting that seam the entire time, so you don't want to do that too. So any other questions about what I would recommend or suggest that you pay attention to, and especially if you're using any of these products, or if whatever you use, make sure you're using it in training, because you don't want to pull down on race day and find out that you have maybe some sort of allergy or sensitive skin to a different product. It's got something in there that just doesn't work with you. You don't want to find that out on mile 6 of the run of 26.2 on a full Ironman race. You don't want to find out then. You don't want to find it out on the bike course that you've got a problem in special spots there at an aid station, and you've got problems that you need to figure out. You don't want to worry about that. So use all this stuff in training. Make sure that it's okay with your skin. If you have other issues and reactions or whether, do see dermatologists if you've got special skin conditions. I don't necessarily have any issues that I have to worry about, but if you got other issues going on and you want to use different products, I would definitely, make sure you're on board with a dermatologist and they know your situation. They can recommend stuff for you. So that's my suggestion. Cover your feet, cover your seat region, cover your underneath your armpits, and cover your neck, and then cover your lips. So make sure everything's covered with grease and slimy stuff. And when you're doing the race, at the end of the day, you'll thank me for this if you hadn't thought of it before, when you go to take that shower after your race and you don't have burning sensation on different spots of your body that you didn't think about until you took that shower. So hopefully that helps you out. Happy training out there. Good luck on your next adventures. And if you got any comments, put them in the comments below and I'll be happy to get back to you.